Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Believe Radio 24-hour gospel radio station. I am Coach Carter. I am here with Eugene Gardner, which is an insurance agent. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and the reason why we are on today to talk about the importance of insurance. As you all know, my show is called Community Unity. My assignment is to get the resources that's needed to our community. So, with the high rate of homicide, all the shootings, a lot of deaths, accidental deaths, car accidents, everything that's going on in our community, I just thought this would be a good day for me to bring in Mr. Gardner, and we could talk about insurance, different types of insurance, how much insurance have grown, expanded, the benefits of having insurance, the minimum amount of premiums, the insurance that he's making affordable for a lot of faith-based churches and ministries where you guys could give your congregation policies. So he's been my insurance guy for about 15 years now, 12, 15 years. He's been my insurance guy, so we have grown together a lot throughout this process. I respect his work. I vouch for him. Most of my stylists, when I had my big hair salon, have connected with him. Most of everybody I'm connected to is on his roster for insurance. He makes it affordable. He even deals with challenged families who feel they can't get insurance. He gonna work it out for you. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself and his expertise, and we're gonna start the conversation. Let the people know who you are.
Well, thank you for that warm introduction, Miss Carter. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence. I love to see what you do for the community, the sacrifices that you make for the community. I'm just so blessed to be in your presence. My name is Eugene Gardner. I work with Globe Life Insurance Company. I've been in the insurance business, I call it love business, for over 30 years. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I had a situation when my mother passed way back in 1997. And when she passed, we didn't know what to do. Everybody was lost. We didn't know what the policies were. We called an insurance agent, couldn't get a hold of the insurance agent, insurance company. It was a total disaster. We went to the funeral home. We had no idea what was getting ready to happen. So it was a horrific experience on top of losing my mother. But I made a commitment back then that this is something that I wanted to do. So I'm very passionate. Like I said, every client that I have, male or female, I treat them like they're my own family. And I make sure that during that time that I'm there with them through that process to make it a little easier.
Okay, so you told us a little bit about how you got involved in the work. I know you from, tell the people where you from. You left that out. We want to know how you got here.
Okay, well, I'm originally, from I grew up in Florida, and I graduated from college in Missouri, and I went to Atlanta, and I came from Atlanta to California, and I started working out here some years ago, and I'm a community person. I work with a lot of challenged kids. I work with a lot of young people. That's my ministry. I give back. It takes a village to raise a neighborhood. So I'm very passionate about that. And insurance is something that I really, really love to do. I think you know that, and everybody that knows me, they don't call me Eugene. Say that's the insurance man.
Yeah, that's it. Right, right. So what are some of the problems you face? For instance, me just facilitating groups with women, dealing with in my work, dealing with homicide families, and time after time after time, we showing up and have to utilize the services and the resources. So oftentimes, my clients get to meet you after they be done lost somebody. So for me, the challenging part is getting in front of it before death occurs. For some reason, people think it's not going to happen to them, or it's like a waste of money. What is one of your challenges getting people to even sign up for the bare minimum amount of insurance?
Well, that's a good question. We did a survey. There's 50% of the Americans that people in the United States don't have insurance at all. But in our race, Nina, it's much higher than that. We probably running about 70 to 80% of African Americans without insurance because they feel like it's not going to happen to me. They feel like, I got time, I'll do it later. And I run into that a lot after 30 plus years. Now, when it comes to women, women are more in tune with, hey, I got to protect my family, my children. I say the percentage is much higher when it comes to a male because we think we're going to live forever and nothing is never going to happen. And then we cast that burden on our family. And that's not a good thing because if you look at the cost of a burial now, just the cemetery runs between $8,000 to $12,000, and then the funeral itself running between 8,000 to $11,000. So you're talking almost $20,000 for somebody just to be buried now. Especially with COVID. You know, the media was saying we lost about 1 million people, but actuality it was way more than that because insurance companies felt the barrier of all those people dying because we had claims coming in every day. Now the good part about Globe Life Insurance Company, if a person died of COVID, we paid the claim. It's not a lot of companies who's out there doing that. So I'm very proud of, Globe Life. Obviously, they're the largest insurance company in America. So I represent one of the largest insurance companies in America. But to answer your question, I think one of the keys to solving that problem is when I come to you, it's too late. You need to get something that's affordable, something that you can handle. The way I always do it, let's say if a person makes $1,000 a month, I will try to get them no more than $40 worth of life insurance because I know they can afford it. I know we can get some type of coverage on them and their family. If they make 2,000 a month, then I would try to, do $80 a month. So I have a calculation to where if I get a policy, that person's going to hold on to that policy until it's time, to be used.
So I don't think people understand that they don't have to have $100,000, $200,000 policy, and in reality, basic insurance policy for you to bury your loved one and still have some change to, to make sure everything else is taken care of, costs less than your fingernail a feel.
Yes.
On your fingernail,
Yes.
So um, I think it has a lot to do with prioritizing as well,
Yes.
because for me, I don't even see it. I don't even see it. I direct deposit, so I don't have to think about it.
Right.
So I just want you to let them know the types of policies, and it don't have to be $100,000 policy or whatever. Just what are basic policies, and tell us the difference between what is that term and
whole
full,
life.
yeah, whole life.
What, one of the things that we can look at when we talk about prioritizing, when you look at some of our young ladies, our race, they have $1,000 purse, but they don't have insurance.
Right.
Come on, something is wrong with our priority. I always try to tell a person, hey, if you make $20 an hour, let's take 1 hour a week and get you some benefits. Just $20, 1 hour to put back in you and your family. I'm gonna always make it affordable for the family, for the person, where even if it's $1 a day that they want to spend or $2 a day, let's get something that's affordable because insurance is like a parachute. If you don't have it when you need it, it's too late. It's too late. I deal with it all the time, which you know that. Right. For me, the toughest day for me and being an insurance agent, and it never changes, is on Monday. Like tomorrow in Oakland, I'm gonna get all those kids that didn't make the news. I'm gonna have their parents call in the office. My son was shot, and I'm really tired of seeing that. I don't know what these young ladies gonna do because we're losing our young people to violence and gunshots. But we're not on here to talk about that. But
we're here to talk about this community unity. Conversation gonna go wherever it go.
That's that. I never get used to that. 16-year-old shot 15 times, 20 times, gang violence. It's you never get used to it because I have sons, and I always pray God keep them. May hope prayerfully I go before them, but let's get something we can afford.
Mhm.
And then when you talk about life insurance, you have term insurance.
Mhm.
Term insurance, so you have whole life insurance, you got universal life insurance, but we'll keep it real simple. You know, you can get the term insurance, and the term is just for a certain amount of time. Some people might buy a house, they need to protect their home, so they can buy a lot of insurance, extra pennies on the dollar.
Mhm.
Whole life, you can borrow against it. If you get in a tight, it costs more, but it does more.
Mhm.
You know, you can pay up the policy. You can reduce face amount, meaning that, hey, after 10 years, if you don't want to pay no more, you can get a reduced paid up policy. It's so much you can do with a whole life policy. Um, my thing is, hey, let me sit down with you, let me become part of your family. I can walk you through the process. I'm experienced. This is something that I love to do. Everybody that's listening, you know, I could be reached at 404-790-1677. I work in 49 states. You know, I'm easy, accessible.
Mhm.
I want the opportunity to be a part of the family, not just the insurance
Yeah, because you at the barbecues, the cookouts,
agent.
kids' graduations. Yeah, you become part of the family, and that's what I like about you because there's nobody that I ever turned you on to that don't have that coming. Eugene was at my birthday party, Eugene. So that's what you're just not an agent that's worried about them making those monthly um, premium amounts, but you're looking for them to better their life in general and your support. So I know at my church you came and did a presentation on that. So oftentimes we have pastors and different church members looking at this show. So tell them about that, how they could get you in their church and what that looks like.
Well, we have a program with Globe Life to where we work with churches. You know, I have a charitable contribution that I head up in 49 states with Globe Life. And when I first started this about 15 years ago, one of the first churches that I visited in Alameda was some of the Catholic churches.
Mhm.
And me being an African American, I was a little afraid that, you know, I would not get the welcome,
Mhm.
you know. And once I did go in and I talked with the priest, and the priest said, I'm not your audience space. I was like, why? He said, because see, our people, they leave land, businesses, boats, houses, trusts, insurance policies. People give their lives.
Mhm.
So this is what we do.
Mhm.
He said, have you ever seen a Catholic church close down because a week when they got sued? I said, no, sir. He said, because people give back to the church. He said, I
Mm.
think you got the right message, but you need to get that over to your African American churches because
Wow.
their mentality is totally different. Don't take it wrong.
Mhm.
But the man was right
Mhm.
because you know their churches got millions and millions of dollars
Mhm.
because they got endowment funds, they got people that's giving. But in our race, what would happen is that I'm not gonna give no money to that pastor because he's gonna misuse my money. Well, that's not
So the
smart.
only requirement is a 10% tithe and offering.
Yes.
And people struggle with doing that because what they don't get out of the ministry. So a lot of times that plays a major role with that mentality because they give according to how they eat,
Hmm.
in the Catholic churches because they feel like they are a family unit, and there's so much invested in they overall. So it's easy to give when you feel like you.
When you get fed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's where your leadership team have to be strong in the
Mm-hmm.
church that you attend. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not just the pastor makes the decision; it's
Mm-hmm.
the deacons, it's the leadership needs to
Yeah,
be strong.
there's not that much division in there in those Catholic churches
No,
like it
it's
is.
it's 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 different.
It's a lot
But
of ego.
what I try to do is I have a program, you know, for the pastors. The pastors,
Mm-hmm.
all the pastors would be interested in this. They can get a write off on their allowance of the
Oh, let's
housing
speak
allowance.
more to it. Speak to that.
You know, we have some programs that would benefit the pastors directly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where he can write off his housing allowance, he can write off anything to do with his house, his income. It's a lot more involved, but most of the pastors that I sign up, they take advantage of the housing allowance. That's in conjunction with the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what we also have is I have a $2,000 policy that I give for free
Mm-hmm.
to every church member, and whoever they desire to be that beneficiary can be.
Mhm.
Now, I also have an additional $2,000 policy where the church would be the beneficiary.
Mm.
It doesn't cost them nothing. So I would give them a $4,000 policy. Doesn't cost one dime. 2,000, Nina, could go to your sons, could go to
Mhm.
your grandkids, but
Mhm.
the other 2,000 will go back to the church.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to build up some equity in our African American churches. Because
Yes.
if you think, if your church had $100,000, what could they do in the community?
Mhm.
What could they do? What other programs could they have out there? Give back programs, coat programs,
Mhm.
tutorial programs, So it takes money to have these programs. And this has been a very good program for a lot of the churches. And I would love the opportunity to sit down with any pastor that's listening, any church member that's listening. They can reach out to me at 404-790-1677. I'm gonna be in San Francisco at churches all week coming up, dealing with pastors and also with the congregations. I just want to grow. I want to connect with everybody that I possibly can and make a difference, in their family.
That's good. That's good because I never heard nobody have those type of programs for ministry, and then that eliminate because now with the murder rate so high, a lot of the churches is now business. Where I get calls from people saying, I've been going to this church for 15 years and they charging me to use the facility, or they, charge my pastor charging me to do my child eulogy. So with those type of policies, that would eliminate
Yes.
some of that cost because it's a benefit for them to have that insurance.
Well, you got to look at it like this
Mhm.
too, Ms. Carter. Insurance
Mhm.
is something that you need.
Mhm.
Well, the cemetery get paid, the funeral home get paid, but why the church can't get paid? Because you
Mhm.
got to use their utility. You got to use their building. Somebody got to clean up. Somebody got to cook. It takes money. All that stuff isn't free. And one of the things that I see now, because a lot of us don't have insurance, we'll go to the church and we go to the pastor and say, hey, look, my family members don't have insurance.
Mhm.
We can't make the church business our business. We got to stop passing the cup. The churches just don't have the money to be burying your mama, your daddy, your sister, your
Well,
brother.
they should if they're members. I disagree. If you are a member of this church and you
I'm
are,
saying to pay for the funeral.
oh,
To pay
no,
for the
I
funeral.
didn't say pay. I said
Oh no,
the
no, that
churches
part.
have become a business where they are renting out their
Yeah.
facility to their own members who are tithing and offering and serving in these ministries.
I
That's,
don't agree with that.
yes.
I think it
Hmm.
should be.
Yeah,
I
that's what
think the
I'm saying
family should.
because of the pandemic and
Right.
the murder rate increase, it has become a business.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying with them having that type of information, it wouldn't be such, because even if it's a discount or whatever, but I feel like if I'm under your covering, then that should be
I
a
think
love.
what you're
It used to
saying.
be a love offering,
Right.
and I believe family is going to give a love offering because they appreciate what
Right.
the church do. But if I'm not a member, that's a different story.
But Nina, I
Mhm.
can. I can. It's okay to agree to
Oh,
disagree.
most definitely.
But let me tell you something.
Hmm.
I've been doing this a long time.
Hmm.
The Bible says judgment starts at home.
Hmm.
You'll be surprised when a church member dies in the church. They don't offer the church nothing and for a donation. Gotta think somebody got to be there to open the church. Somebody got to be there to cook the food, help with the food. People taking off for work. I mean, I think the family should at least offer something to the church.
That's the love offering, but don't give me no whole list of an itemized statement.
I agree with that part.
No, it's a business now.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people dying. I mean,
Yeah, but it's not. And then you sit up there on Sunday and say this is God's house.
yeah, I
So
think
you contradict yourself because if it's God's house, then it's free for me to come in and receive. But when it's time for a
for
hardship, that's why a lot of people leave ministries because if you already just say you one of those persons who don't have insurance and you didn't get insurance, I mean that was your choice, but
right.
then it happened. So I'm expecting out of anybody in my church to come through for me.
See, I think here's the thing, and I think this is a very interesting topic. I
It
know a
is.
lot of people listening because
We always, that's the thing. That hey, I'm a game changer. We have these conversations because I say what people thinking.
well, I can say from a business perspective,
I don't do.
I understand where you're coming from because you got to understand
Hmm.
some churches they might get in a month time 5 services that need to use the building.
Hmm.
Who gonna pay for the lights?
The love offering.
But here's another question you got to ask yourself. Everybody that coming through there's not offering the love offering to the
They
church.
are because that's part of that's your level of integrity. I
That
mean,
but some
but what
people
I'm
don't have
saying,
it. I see both
listen,
sides of it.
when you are facilitating, for me, if I'm facilitating this, then I'm already gonna say put some aside for the pastor, the this, the that. So you do that. But when you have one church that's capitalizing, the funeral home already do it. You already
Oh
know.
yeah, I
It's
know
their
they
job to exhaust the policy.
they gonna do that.
That's why most of my families, I'm right there when it's time to make arrangements. Because
I have a freedom of choice sheet that if a person dealing with me, we're gonna get all of that up front. They're not gonna even know how much life insurance a person has.
See, that's what most people need to know that.
Yeah, see that's
Yeah,
what I have.
uh-huh.
I have a freedom of choice form that me and the beneficiary we're gonna sit down and we're gonna go to the funeral home director and whatever that beneficiary wants, then I'm gonna negotiate the price down because why? I got clients in 49 states. You're gonna deal with me on my terms, else we're gonna walk out the door. I'm coming in the door with some leverage and representing the family. So once we get that down and everything is good with the beneficiary, we'll sign off on it within 48 hours. The funeral home got their check and the policy, they never would know the amount. One of the biggest mistakes, as you know, Nina, that
When
families
people
make,
take
that policy to the
take it
funeral
right to
home.
a that's a ching 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 ching.
They say, hey, how much you want this policy to be? If it's a $20,000 policy,
Yeah.
you got 20,000 that you just spent with the funeral home, and guess what? You didn't
You ain't
even
even
think
got
about
to
the
the burial.
cemetery.
You ain't
You haven't even
none
got
of
there
that.
because that's a
Yeah.
total different charge.
That's my job. They hate to see me coming because I'm like, we don't need that, we don't need that, we don't need that. I got that covered. But a lot of people don't know that. They feel because they have a policy, that's what it's for. But they don't understand that's their job to play on your emotions.
Of course.
So I'm saying that when it comes to my ministry, I'm already getting played at the funeral home. I would want you to have more compassion. I understand if I'm a person coming off the streets that have no affiliation with this church and I need to rent your building for services, then bring all that out. That's the business part.
I got you.
But if I'm your member and I labor in love here through this my church family, then I expect to be treated like a family. That's just me.
Well, I think another thing happens too, Nina, because you're so. I mean, I love you to death, to life. You do so much in the community. When people do die with no insurance, you go beyond all means necessary. Victim of violent crimes, you're raising money for people. You're doing you're doing what Jesus does. So I appreciate that, but that burden shouldn't be cast on you. People should take an hour out of their paycheck a week. Hey, let me call Eugene, get something that I can afford for my
That's why you're
kids.
here, because we want people to take advantage of what is $40. $40 is not a lot,
No.
to get a basic policy to have for your loved ones.
Yes.
Because one thing Bishop Johnny Clark always say, you breathe better. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no such thing in etiquette, but when you have an insurance policy,
Oh yeah.
your process is different. People handle you different. So you're not grieving how I'm gonna come up with this money. You already got that money. So now you get the funeral and stuff, you got that taken care of. Now you can rest in your grief. You don't have to rush that. So it's better to have and not need.
Exactly.
Is what he always tell us. That's like he say, make sure you got some emergency money in case the emergency happen and you need an airline ticket. So at certain churches that teach you principles of having balance and having money, for rainy days, but a lot of people don't take advantage of that either. But with these policies and the programs that you're bringing to the table, the reason I brought that up is because when a church become a business, because that to me is capitalizing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm gonna make up for what was lost during a pandemic.
Right.
So we gotta stop that. So if more churches would take advantage of those programs we have, then we don't need that. If you got a church, of course we're gonna give you, the family should give a love
Of
offering. They
course.
could be considerate of all of that the church has to put out, but don't give me no itemized.
Yeah, and I think that's a choice that the pastor
Yeah,
have to make, and that's
yeah.
one of those questions, question marks that me and you'll look at it a little
Mhm,
different
mhm.
because, like I said, I see, where people, certain pastors, they just, gosh, they will just,
Well, I know a pastor
they will
that
milk
just
them to death.
he has a huge church and he don't
Yes,
even have to know you. His church is free.
but let me tell you why his church is free.
Right.
Because he got members
Mm-hmm.
that are tithing.
Yes,
He got a church
that's
that's
sowing.
together.
Yeah.
They are sowing back in the ministry, and the Bible says the church is what? A storehouse.
Yes.
Not when we go, now we got to always give.
Right.
The church supposed to give back.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But when we don't sow, and then the pastor don't even have enough to pay the rent, so he going into his own pocket,
He
or
needs to
she.
be going on his knees in prayer.
I understand that, but we know that happens, right? And
God
now
takes. I ain't gonna ever agree with that. God takes care of His house.
I agree with God take care of his house,
Maybe somebody might be mishandling money. I don't know.
but when
But
you have people that don't sow, when you have people that's not giving,
why people don't sow?
I can't answer that.
I
Why people
can
don't pay
because
tithes?
they ain't eating.
You know I'm not gonna go there with you. Why we have to get into this today? You make this
Wherever I
difficult.
eat, I'm sowing.
You are.
But I'm just saying,
Okay,
it's a need.
it
It's a
should
need.
be. Everybody should
And I
tithe.
could sit in church and be like, "Ooh, when I leave here, I seen that them shoes Saturday when I was window shopping," and I said, "No, I am wait till next week or whatever." Then I'm sitting in a church where I'm spiritually starving. I might go get them shoes. They might make me feel a little better.
I just I'm gonna leave that part alone.
No, I'm just playing. But yeah, me personally, I guess because just dealing with this and going with the families and being in these rooms and knowing the hardships and just knowing when people don't have proper information, they can't take advantage of services. So sometimes and then turn around, we just barely got this funeral paid for. Now the church want 1,500. Oh, you said you want the sound system. Oh, now we got to. That's
That's
kind
right.
of.
I don't agree with all of
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Okay.
agree it should be
Right.
at some point
So we
make it
agree a
fair.
love
Right.
offering should be
I yes.
considerate just based on that. I
Right.
agree with that.
And I just say have your business in order. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Because it's when we're gonna die. We're gonna die.
Oh
We're
yeah.
gonna leave here. And let's just have our business in order and stop passing that to other family members. Because if you love your family, you're not gonna leave that burden on your family.
Mm-hmm.
Because your family's gonna be left with that. And my thing is it's pennies on a dollar to fix
And I
this.
think it's getting back to that old school because one thing you knew growing up, well, I knew as a kid was the insurance man and the pastor
Yeah.
of the church because your grandma was gonna make sure they was committed to the ministry they was in, and that insurance man was gonna come at a certain time of the month and collect that money. So I think that's getting back to those teachings. A lot of times we don't allow our children to see, the
Right.
stuff that's important. Like
Right.
my sons, I mean, a lot of times they be like, I ain't nothing to happen to me, or I don't want. I'll be like, okay, don't worry about it, because I'm gonna make sure I got it. And
That's
it's
true. You are.
it's their mentality. Sometimes it's our kids, and we feel because, or we're in a relationship. You've been with somebody 10, 15 years, and because you're not married, you don't have no insurance. The devil is a lie. We together, we calling Eugene. I mean, what do you mean?
Yes, you gonna kill me? No,
somebody have, you might love me to death. So I'm saying, how does that work when people feel like they have to be married or something like that? How does that work with the insurance?
Well, I think when you've been in a relationship that long and a person don't consider taking care of that, I think that's selfish of that person because death is inevitable. It's gonna happen. I mean, just every morning, you never know. Before I got here, I just got a call. One of my clients was murdered. 48 years old. She got three daughters. Eugene, what we gonna do? So these things are real to me. I had two deaths today. These are things that don't make the news that I have to go and deal with these families. And I thank God that, as soon as something happened, they reach out to me because, as you know, I mean, I love you like a sister, your kids. I mean, I just I be a part of the family because things are going to happen. And that's my job to say, hey, look, let me walk you through this process. And I think once when I saw what happened with my mother, that's why I'm so passionate about insurance. Like I was so excited to see you today, to be able to talk to people about what I do and protect their family. And even if they have insurance, they can call me and I can go over the policies that they have. Another important thing that I want to talk about, Nina, wills. You got to have a will. If you got children, you need a will or you need a trust because they're going to fuss. Well, a will and a trust, what's the difference between the two? A trust, that means you got to have somebody over that, once you leave. A will is, I want to leave this to this son, that son, that son. You need to put one of the two in place. You have to do that. Another thing is, like, if you got a bank account, put your children, your husband, your wife, or somebody on there, because if you don't, it's all state regulated. That money sits there until it's on calendar to go to probate court. Then it goes to your oldest sister or brother. And your kids may not never get it. Just depends on your sister or brother. And that could sit there for years. So a lot of things that I try to teach people as well about money. It's just not insurance. So if just give me that opportunity to be a part of your family. I'm excited. 404-790-1677. 404-790-1677. Call me. I want to connect with you. I can come to the church and do presentations. Your pastors, I can show your pastor how to get housing allowance, how to put money back in his pocket. I just want to help my people.
And you do workshops.
I do workshops. I do whatever needs to be done to protect families. I love it. And obviously, you probably can tell it.
Okay. I want to thank y'all for joining us. Again, this is Eugene Gardner. He's been my insurance guy for over 15 years, and he has never disappointed me. He has worked with a lot of my clients, family members, and he's going to do what's in the best interest of the client. So, like he said, a feel on your nails, you can have an insurance policy for that amount. So, call him at
404-790-1677.
if you just have questions or you want to inquire. But we all need some form of insurance. We never know what's going to happen from day to day. Thank y'all for joining me. Believe Radio, 24-hour music, gospel music station. My email, if you want to be on my show, be a part of my platform, is Believe Radio Nina C at gmail.com. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate you.
So that was good.